Hello and welcome to Reuters Events Pharma 2026. Today I have with me Tom Baker, who is the Senior Vice President of Global Data Technology and Advisory Services at IQVIA. Tom, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's kick off with the first question, which is all about silos. What are the three most common ones you see in commercial organizations, and what actually keeps them in place, even when everybody knows they're slowing things down?
Well, the most obvious one is always the one between medical and commercial. Right? There's always this handoff that's it's regulated. There's compliance issues and so forth. So everyone's very afraid of running afoul of authorities on that. And when it just slows things down, and inevitably, people in the medical position often have really great insights as to what's going on in the market. They understand what the customers care about. They understand what patients need. But there's constraints on getting that information. And those silos have slowed down the communication of really important information that can conceivably get medicines to patients faster. That's the most obvious one. Then there's a bunch of others. One that's become really important lately is the one, it's kind of emerged with AI. IT has lots of traditional investments in things like technology platforms, but AI is both technology and it's a data analytics tool, so sometimes the stakeholder mix changes. And so there's a couple of silos that have emerged. There's a tech silo, and then there's a data silo, in some cases the business. And so the three of them are trying to do things together, but everyone's being a little bit hesitant to, I don't know, how we should work together. So that's slowed things down a lot. I think the other one is just, in general, there is a shift towards more centralization. And so global has a lot of stuff it needs to do, but the countries themselves, affiliates, tend to operate as silos as well. So all of those three things simultaneously have to be overcome, or at least addressed somehow.
Well, AI, you mentioned that it could remove friction and accelerate decision making, but it sounds like it can also add another layer of complexity. So what are the guardrails that are essential to build trust?
The first thing is the data have to be reliable, right? So there's great stories. If you just go into any large language model today and ask it, I've got to wash my car. The car wash is 250 meters away. Should I walk or drive? And the model will say, you should probably just walk, right? And so no one trusts it, right? There's so much belief that these things are going to solve all of our problems, but there's some basic issues there. So internally, for silos to be broken down, the data have to be reliable. If I'm going to go and share medical contact information with a commercial person, I have to have full confidence that the tools are going to be compliant. And if I don't trust that, I won't use them. And so that's become an issue, but there are ways to do it. And it comes down to, is my data foundation ready? Have I actually built the appropriate guardrails? Do people believe that it's effective? And do they not have these hallucinations that cause stupid answers?
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about global and local silos as well. Well, building cross-functional insights and shared platforms, what should be standardized globally? And what should be adapted locally to reflect market realities and brand needs?
It's such an important question, right? So all healthcare is ultimately local. The systems are different, and so you do need to have a certain degree of flexibility and adaptability. At the same time, the amount of healthcare data that is flowing into the universe is expanding so rapidly that no one can get control of it. And certainly you can't just let every country do its own thing, because you can't get scale out of it. And so one of the things that we do recommend companies do is begin to centralize more of the data management and architecture so that they can then have total control over it, create the appropriate governance and privacy protections, but then push it down to the countries, create more decentralization of sort of pre-governed data foundations that they can do whatever they want with. So there's a single source of truth, everyone's operating on the same sheet of music, but there's still the opportunity to adapt to local conditions and dynamics.
Fantastic. So where do you think organizations most often lose momentum between insight generation and action, and what distinguishes the teams that consistently close that gap?
Yeah, so it's another good question, because it's a great example of where silos have really slowed us down. Again, this medical to commercial thing, but generally there's all these worries that if you just load your notes from talking to a physician into a system, it's going to be non-compliant. So in many cases, even the CRM systems, it's drop-down boxes. It doesn't allow free text, and yet the free text is where the insight would come from. AI is now allowing us to clean that up. So if you put something in there, maybe the physician had an off-label question that you appropriately didn't answer, but you referenced it, shouldn't be in the system. So the AI will clean that up, and then you've got a sort of consented, appropriate, governable set of data that can be shared more widely. The constraint today is that everyone's worried about non-compliance, and so either they don't put the information into it, or they do, but then it sits somewhere else and it can't be integrated. If you can clean up some of these things, and AI will allow that, you can do this at scale. That's really exciting.
Great. Now, I'd love to hear your insights on what leaders should look for in a partner who can connect data platforms and execution at scale, and at the same time maintain clear accountability and measurable impact.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of sounding self-important, right? Like we think data is the foundation, right? You have to get the data right, and so we believe that if you really invest early on in getting the data foundation set up to enable all of the things you want to do, that will help. We have been around for a long time. We're not very sexy because we have been around for a long time. The challenge right now is all the sexy little startups come in and say, we can do this great thing for you, but they generally don't have domain expertise and they can't really scale. You have to build the data foundation with the idea of what's the business trying to do, where's it going to go, how do we scale it? That's where you have to start. So I think that's where I would look for a partner first, is can you help me actually build a foundation that's scalable? Because then you can bring in whichever partner you want to do the sexy stuff, but it has to start with a solid foundation.
Solid foundations. Tom Baker at IQVIA, thank you so much for your insights today.
My pleasure. Thank you.